Bill here with international umpire Tom Rinda. Tom, you've seen match racing grow here in the U.S. and then you've also obviously seen it overseas as well. What do you think of the state of match race sailing right now in the U.S.?
I think it's as healthy as it's ever been, in particular for the youth. For the benefit of all the people that aren't aware of college sailing, they made a huge shift in the sloop championships and gave it over to match racing. And I believe this is the third or fourth year they've done it. It's actually going to be at my home club in St. Petersburg this year. And the last time we hosted that event, it was just a fleet race with sonars, which can be somewhat boring. This time it'll be a match race, and a lot of the skippers we've seen at the U.S. Match Race Championship, we've seen them, some of them at these grade 3 and 2 level events like we're at now. And the skill level has become much greater than it was for sure 5 years ago, and in 10 years it's really come a long way.
So for those that are not familiar with match race sailing, one really important aspect is umpiring, what you do and your teams. Tell us a little bit about how that works and how people can get involved in umpiring.
What the umpires are is they act as on-the-water judges in the real-time field of play. And instead of having protests under the racing rules that usually are settled after the race is over and can be frequently very long and drawn out, the competitors will raise, instead of a protest flag, the Y flag. We call it the Yankee flag. And that alerts the umpires that they're asking for a decision on the current situation that is normally an incident when boats come together involving the rules of Part 2, which is the right-of-way rules. And the umpires are trained and also certified to know these rules in real time. And the way we do it in match racing, there are two boats. There's a yellow boat that is the starboard entry and the pre-start, and the blue boat, which is the port entry. And the umpires role play. One of the umpires will take the yellow boat and one will become the blue boat, and you basically talk through what you are doing and your rights and obligations.
No, there's a separate set of rules, obviously, the Appendix C, but is all that complicated? I mean, how can somebody who has a little bit of background in the rules come in and be an umpire? And if they do that, how does that enhance their skills and knowledge of the rules?
It will make you a much better sailor, because there's only two kind of boats on the race course. There's a right-of-way boat and there's a give-way boat. And you're either at any given point in time one or the other. And it's the point of change in right-of-way that matters. And as a skipper, you begin to understand the changes in right-of-way and how to employ that as a tool to defeat your opponent. If you remain the right-of-way boat in most situations where you encounter another boat, you're in control. And umpiring determines the outcome of this, but for skippers and tactics, the whole game of match racing is really not about putting a penalty on somebody by having them break a rule. It's about controlling them. And if you learn the rules and you umpire and you learn how umpires work and think, you are then a much better match race skipper because you learn how to control your opponent.
Excellent. So the whole game of umpiring can improve everybody, whether it's sailors as well as those in the judging field who may want to come into this game.
Absolutely. And those of us that have been doing it a while understand the best umpires are people that sail. And the best match race umpires are people that have match raced, and they understand what boats do, and they can anticipate, again, back to this control, what the boat in control will force the other boat to do on the race course, and be there to make a correct decision, because you cannot make a really good call unless you're in a position to see where the boats come together, how close they are, and whether another boat has to avoid before a boat completes a maneuver. And it's a certain skill set that takes time.
What is your feeling about the future of match race sailing here in the U.S.?
I think it's very healthy. We've had wonderful things occur, such as Hunt Lawrence at Oak Cliff and Don Wilson's Chicago Match Race Center. They have professional staff that do a really terrific job, and they provided the resources not just for the sailors, but also for the officials to have proper umpire boats, a good clubhouse, and they've helped fund a good venue of a whole series of events every season that has just brought probably at least a 2- or 3-fold increase in competitors.
Great. Well, thanks very much, Tom.
Thank you, Dobbs.